Teresa wakes up, tied to a chair, in the middle of probably a dungeon. Who knows for sure what it was. Some house, maybe. I think it was a room. A dark room in some house. She's tied to a chair, and there is a very angry redhead barbarian queen who is very mad. Enter Queen Anne Greadora. Remember the last name, Greadora. It is very important that you remember that name. Anne Greadora is the queen of the invading country, Loten. She is highly involved in everything that is happening. Again, here's the picture of her. Short red hair, wearing armor, think barbarian queen type of person. And she's mad at Teresa because Teresa successfully killed a couple of her guards, her knights, and the fact that she kind of got a bunch of people stirred up and they weren't able to take that particular town. Anne's mad. And Queen Anne thinks that Teresa is like a super secret spy from Lord Edmund's army. So now both armies think that Teresa is a spy or a double agent or something along that line for the other army. Anne starts basically interrogating her. She wants to know where Lord Edmund is. She wants to know where the armies are. She wants to know why she was sent there. She wants to know where rest of Teresa's personal army group or unit is. She's just hammering it into Teresa. Teresa has no answers for anything. So she is honest. She has no idea where any of these people are. She has no idea what's happening. Anne doesn't believe her. It's not the prettiest of things. Eventually Anne leaves and Teresa ends up spending the night like that, tied to a chair. Probably one of the most uncomfortable nights she's ever had. She probably ate somewhere in between all of this, by the way, like in between getting to the village or when she got to the village before things went bad, she ate. So she's sleep deprived still, but she probably has had food. So we're just going to go with that theory. The next day, Anne takes her out to the forest, out towards the direction that she does, Teresa suspects Edmund was, or at least where Lord Edmund was beforehand. Because Queen Anne does not believe her in anything that she is currently saying, she demands that Teresa show her where the direction is and all of this, and she's being a prisoner, hostage, trying to figure out where we're going and everything. Teresa kind of goes along with it for a little bit. Just for a little bit. She kind of goes along with it like she's given in and everything, and she's going to show Queen Anne where Edmund is, and waiting for the opportunity which arises. Anne gets distracted with something. The two guards are not paying too much attention. Teresa makes her get away by kicking one guy and then not shoving the other one down a little ravine or something. She takes off, running through the forest, armies after her. More sounds happen and it goes quiet. She's still kind of running and she comes across Peter. Peter catches her, kind of gets her to calm down enough that the two of them can talk for a few minutes, unties her, all that stuff. And they don't talk for a few minutes. Teresa has hit her breaking point at this point and kind of just doesn't give up, but she has really met her breaking point from everything that is happening. With all of this, but she ends up having quite a conversation with Sir Peter. She's been a bit more on the honest side of being I'm not from this world. I don't know what's happening. Him kind of feeling a little bit sorry for her, explains a little bit. Now I have light. Why on earth does now the light? I don't understand lighting. End up talking. Basically, he ends up reassuring her that one, she'll be fine. We'll start there. Takes her back to the a new encampment that's going on. Lady Shalista is still there. Takes her to Lord Edmund, and basically they come up with just they believe her that she's not part of the other army. Everyone but Shalista, anyways, believes her that she's not part of the Loten's army, and basically tells her that she can go do whatever you want, highly recommend you help us out because we can use any hands we want. You want to go help the townspeople, do townspeople thing, you stick around with us and help with our encampment, or you're pretty handy with the crossbow. And Teresa goes, wait a minute, how do you know I'm handy with the crossbow? Lord Edmund goes, because we were told as much by quite a few people. The news from the town reaches her, not only from just the people in town, but also from Sir Stephen. Sir Stephen, the old knight, or older-ish knight, who had given her the crossbow, kind of walks into the conversation at this point. He is one of the older knights within the military army, and because he looks like a old grandfather, people kind of underestimate him, and he is actually the spy, I guess, that everybody has been like blaming her for. He kind of goes around, doing random stuff, gathering information, because everyone kind of undermines him because they just think he's like old grandfather. In reality, he's an incredibly smart guy and knows a thing or two. And he's also very in tune with the Lord, which is mostly important. Very smart, wisdom-driven fellow. He says that he gave her the crossbow because he knew that she was going to be able to not only take care of the situation, but become the hero in general. Whatever that means. No one has any idea what that means, but it is what he says, and they kind of go along with it. Giving a little bit of some prophesying there, but no one really catches it because it doesn't make a lot of sense, which, kind of happens. And honestly, that would be giving it a little bit of thought after, sleeping properly, eating for some food, giving it some thought. Teresa decides that as long as she is stuck in this world, on this planet, that yeah, she'll do what she can and help out. Yes, all of that was kind of just the first half. Before I go into the second half, I do have to do a little bit of explaining Lord Edmund. As I said, he is the sovereign of Azarium. He's in charge of Azarium, but he's not a king. He is known as of a sovereign. Now, the best ways that I can describe what the sovereign is in this universe, and I'm going to do a whole video on explaining it a little bit more in detail, but just so you have kind of an idea on who he is and what that title means, kind of think of a church-appointed president or a church appointed official. Kind of, the sovereign is picked by the high priest. It is the high priest's job to pick whoever the next sovereign will be. Whenever that sovereign is retires or dies or gets kicked out of office or something along that line, it is up to the high priest to pick the next one and basically get that person involved. And then it's actually up to the sovereign and the heads of states. And again, I'm going to do a whole video explaining all of this. It'll probably be the next video in the series that comes out. It's up to the heads of the states and the sovereign to work everything out, to keep both parties happy, to keep everyone happy and everything that's going on. So he is very much so in charge of the country. He is very much so in charge of the war, the military, everything that is currently happening. But he's not royalty. He did not get his position via what do you call it? You know how royalty works, where the kids get the throne. I'm gonna put all of that out so you have a general idea on all of that, because for obvious reasons that's going to be important. Some months pass. Teresa is part of helping out on Azarium's side on the war. She learns a lot more of the history, not a lot more, but she learns a little more of the history, the dynamic between the two countries that are fighting. She learns a lot more of the people. She kind of likes Lord Edmund. He's kind of cool and very straightforward. He's a no-nonsense type guy. Sir Peter actually becomes her first and very close friend. The two of them just really hit it off very easily. He reminds her of her older brothers, and she reminds him of his sisters. They immediately build this sibling relationship between the two of them. A lot of it probably being based in that Sir Peter was the first one to believe her in her story and talk to her. And then Teresa just really appreciated his kindness, his honesty. He's a very honest person. And just they hit it off really well, and they become pretty close friends. Her and Shalista, they have a lot of... Shalista does not like her, does not trust her whatsoever. There is a lot of tension between the two of them for a long time. Until, you know, your typical hero scene. During one of the battles, Teresa ends up actually saving Shalista. Shalista ends up letting her guard down a little bit. They're not friends, but they do end up highly respecting each other. So this goes on for a few months. Teresa ends up helping her, helping out as much as she can, using the crossbow, being part of the archery, all of this. Helping out. Some time passes. I don't know how long in between the two halves of this story, but at minimum a few months, probably quite a few months. Azariam isn't really winning. The war is not going great for like either parties, but Azariam's not doing the greatest, I guess, out of both countries. There end up being this one final big push. They gather all the different armies and they do this one final big push against Lotan's army. Queen Anne is in charge of that army, that military there. She's there within this big push. And Teresa's up high on a hill. You know, shooting crossbows down and everything. And she lets she's just firing them into the invading army. And the army eventually ends up, Lotan's army eventually ends up retreating. They win that battle. She gets back to the camp and she hears the news that Queen Anne was actually struck down during the battle by a crossbow bolt. A crossbow bolt. Yeah, say that 5 times fast. So Queen Anne is dead. Lotan's army is a little bit in an uproar. The whole country is a little bit in an uproar because she did not have any heirs. There is no heirs to the throne. She has no family. She's not married. No heir to the throne. So there is quite a bit of an uproar throughout Lotan and specifically the military because they don't have a leader at the moment. And it is heavily hinted that Teresa is the one that killed her, but I guess no one really would know for sure because there was other people with crossbows in the country, and a lot of them were in that battle. It is heavily implied she probably is the one that killed Queen Anne. I know that she was, but I guess in universe no one would really know that. So that whole story circulates, and then she's waiting, and another story starts to circulate. Lord Edmund is struck down during the fight as well, but he does not die. He is brought back to the encampment. He's on deathbed. The medics, I had a name that they specifically used. That's not the word. I had a specific word that meant doctor that I used, that Azariam used to mean they're doctors. Anyways, the doctors can't do anything. The physicians cannot do anything to save him. He's dying. He talks to Peter first. He talks to the high priest because he shows up out of nowhere. And I will make sure to draw a picture before this video goes up. So here's a picture of the high priest. Really tall, big guy, long white hair. I don't know what species he is. I'll be honest. I never made up what species. I kind of suspect that he's probably a druid, though. So he's a guy who has specific magic that has to do with plants and foliage and earth and things along that line. I think that's what species he is. He shows up, so Edmund has a long talk with him, and finally he requests to see Teresa. He reveals to Teresa that he kind of had a crush on her, which she surprises her. She had no intentions of anything. And then he also says that he is going to leave her his stuff, whatever that means. She's kind of very upset, so she doesn't really understand what he means by this specifically. She finds out later. And then, yeah, he dies. Lord Edmund dies. She's upset about this. The whole country's upset about this. Tiny bit of a problem, I just now realized. That does mean in middle of a war, both countries has lost their leaders. Obviously, the fighting kind of like stops, and because of all of this that just happens, basically the war is now over. Both armies like retreat, both countries retreat. They've lost everything, and it's a whole mess. Shortly after the word that he has died, goes through the whole encampment. The high priest requests to see Teresa by herself. She's a little freaked out. She's scared. She's upset. She just lost a really close friend. She's upset because she's pretty sure she killed the main person in charge of the army. And she's nervous because she doesn't know who the high priest is and have not met him. And he's kind of intimidating. He's very intimidating. He's cool. We like the high priest. No, I don't know if he has a name. I just call him the high priest. He probably has a name. I have no idea. Anyways, so they have a conversation that does not go the greatest. He tells her that she has been selected to become the next sovereign. Sent down word from on high that he was told very specifically, even before he found out Lord Edmund was hurt or dying, he knew that she was going to be the next sovereign, and she was selected to be the next sovereign. She doesn't take the news well. She runs away. She immediately says, no, I'm not from this country. I don't have a desire to run the country or anything like that. I'm not from this world. I'm from Earth. And then takes off running in the forest because all of this has happened all at once. And you can imagine, you just lost a friend who admitted that he loved you. He just died. You just got back from a pretty brutal battle. And the high priest pulls you to the side and tells you that you're going to rule the country that you know nothing about. She's very distraught. She's very upset. She doesn't know what to do about any of this. So she kind of just runs off into the forest just to have a moment to grieve, to think, to pray, to figure out what she is supposed to do next. Because this is terrifying and she's upset. While she's out in the forest, she spends a long time doing all of that, trying to figure out what's happening. Hello. As some of you probably know, I really enjoy photography. I love capturing funny, awesome moments with me and my family. I love taking pictures of the fun things that we get into and just all sorts of mischief and cool experience. But I also really enjoy taking pictures of this beautiful world that we live in. I've been doing this for quite some time as a hobby, so I have quite a few photos that are in my little collection. I thought it would be kind of fun to share them. So I've signed up with Fine Art America and made my own little profile. Also kind of made my own little website. I have 25 unique photos that are uploaded right now. You can get them as prints, as canvas prints, as metal prints or wooden prints, but you can also get them as everyday household items. You know, like a notebook, or maybe even some greeting cards. But you can also get them on other stuff like pillows, blankets, mugs. Some of the prints are on t-shirts, all sorts of really cool, awesome stuff, including stickers and puzzles. Go check it out. Back to the video. She's crying, has no idea what's going on. Someone comes up to her very kindly and gently, and the person who shows up is Rose. Rose is a fairy. Fairies are, very magical in this country. Obviously, they're fairies. But Rose is a mother fairy. She has a lot of kids. Doesn't really play that in part, but she's a very sympathetic and a very caring person. She just found this human crying in the middle of the forest, very distraught, very upset. Ends up taking her home, feeding her, giving some counseling, giving some wisdom, having her hang out with the kids and the family. That kind of makes Teresa smiles because they're a fun bunch, they're mischievous, and all sorts of stuff. And just basically gives her a little bit of a break. The next day, she talks to Rose, tells Rose what is happening. Rose already knows that Lord Edmund is gone, and that there's a little bit of uncertainty on the next sovereign. Teresa ends up admitting that she was told that she was to be selected to become the next sovereign, and it terrifies her. She knows nothing of the country. She's not from here. She ends up telling Rose straight up that she is not from this planet, or at least this world. She doesn't know which one it is. It's planet. She's not from this planet. She has no idea what's happening. She's only been here the last couple of months, maybe half a year at most. And she's really terrified of this prospect that is. What is, hang on, what's that? I don't have ADD, you have ADD. That's a weird glint right there. Anyways, and Rose ends up counseling her on it. She ends up talking to her about it. And actually ends up becoming a very close friend of the sovereign down the road. Teresa down the road. And between the two of them, with a lot of talking and a lot of praying, Teresa finally decides that she will do this. She has no idea how to do this. No idea what's going to happen. No idea on the multitude of adventures this has led her to. But she feels in her deepest of hearts that that was the reason she ended up on this planet on the first place. However that happened, I'll explain it later. She feels it in her deepest of hearts that she was put here for a purpose, and it was for this purpose. She was placed here to become the next sovereign and to govern and rule and take care of Azariam and all of Azariam's people. She stays with Rose for a couple of days, solidifying this idea within her head. And she ends up going back to the encampment where the high priest is still hanging out. He's chilling there. Actually, the high priest has been running the country ever since Lord Edmund passed. Whenever there's a sovereign, if there's a gap in between sovereigns, if the sovereign needs extra help, the high priest is basically the second in command. Though arguably he's in the first command, but it's again, I will explain all of this as much as I understand it. I don't understand all of it because I hate world building. But he's actually been running the country, running things ever since Lord Edmund's death and her taking off. So she comes back, pulls him to the side, and basically tells him that she will accept this job, that she is willing to take on this undergoing, knowing that with the Lord behind her, that she would be more than capable of doing this. And then also having some of her close friends stand beside her. Sir Peter immediately jumps on this and says, yes, he will support her in this. Rose immediately says, yes, I will support you on this. Surprisingly, Shalista stands up and says the same thing, saying, yes, of course, I will support you and do whatever it is that you want. And she ends up taking on the role of sovereignship. And that is the ending, or rather it is the beginning of Lady Teresa's story. Though at the moment her name is Lady Teresa Esther Summers. Or let me word it this way. Teresa Esther Summers is now the Lady Teresa Esther Summers. She is now in charge of the entire fantasy country that she knows very little about. But she was placed there for a reason, and she's willing to take on this reason and this responsibility and everything. So, as I said, that is the ending, but it's actually the beginning. That is, if this was a TV show, that would be the pilot. If this is a book series, it'd be the first book, all of this. And she was, as a starting with all of these stories, all of these other stories that I have, the other series that are in this universe that I have, they all tie in with each other, and they all tie in specifically with her. She is the main character for all of this. She is the main person that I like portraying in these stories and being. Just for a little bit of reference, I have written out in a timeline, and maybe I'll set up a spreadsheet and eventually show this. But I've written out her timeline, all of the stories that are canon. Excuse me. I have canon, and I have the bulk of that story in my head. I know how it goes. I have written down, and there are 84 canon stories that part of the Sovereign Chronicles. 84 canon stories. And I say canon because I have come up with a ton of stories, but they are not part of the actual timeline, because usually they're crossovers with either movies or shows that I am currently watching. I like coming up with stories of my characters interacting with other characters from movies and shows and even books at times. So there is a lot of stories that has happened, but they're not canon because of copyright issues and stuff. Maybe one day I'll talk about them, but at the moment that's not a plan or anything. So, but there are 84 canon stories. And I do say canon stories that are mostly written out in my head, because there are a couple stories that have happened, or plot points that have happened, but I never got around to like fully developing the story plot in my head. But the rest of these stories I have over a course of like 15 years. have been working on, that shows my age. I have been working on these for a little bit less than 15 years. So in 15 years, 84 stories. And those are only the stories with the Sovereign herself. That does not count any of the other main series within this world. A Girl and Her Starship, the Phoenixes, and the Renegades. Their story plot lines I don't have written out in a specific timeline, so I don't know for sure how many stories they each have. But those 3 other stories, or 3 other sub-series, I guess, have their own set of storyline, plot lines, and stuff that is going on. And I do plan on getting to those. We're going to be following Teresa for a little bit first, I think. But we're going to be working our way through her story, which will eventually branch out into the other stories, the other the other planets, the other worlds that I have created, and the other characters I have created. So that is the first episode, the first deep dive episode into the Phoenixes Rising.